30 photos that look ordinary until you know the backstory. 1. This photo may not look like much at first. Now, have a look at the guy in the background, top left. Have a look what's in the background, top right. That's the Tank Man from the Tiananmen Square massacre. Thought to be student Wang Weilin, this photo was snapped minutes before the famous one was taken. Tank Man is the nickname given to a man who stood in front of a column of tanks on Beijing's Tiananmen Square on June 5, 1989, in an act of defiance after Chinese officials ordered soldiers and police to shoot and kill student protesters. His identity remains unknown, and images of his gesture are still banned by China's repressive communist regime. He has been referred to as the true exemplar of the Chinese protesters' heroism and an enduring symbol of the bloody uprising in Beijing. Nobody knows what happened to Weilin. He may have been executed, he may still be in prison, he may have fled to another country. Two. Camp staff taking a day off. These photos of Auschwitz staff enjoying pleasant days off always stick with me. They look like camp counselors, but their job is killing people in horrible ways, and they enjoyed it. Most probably took lives not shortly before or after the photos were taken. 3. Jewish children holding hands as they unknowingly walked to their deaths in the gas chambers at Auschwitz. 4. This is a pic of the 1970s-era game show, The Dating Game. The circled man is serial killer Rodney Alcala. By the time of that appearance on the show, he had raped several women and murdered at least one. He won the game, but the woman never went on the date with him. You can imagine how relieved she is. 5. This photo always gets to me somehow. Just a couple of astronauts posing in zero gravity, happy to have such an incredible opportunity, like astronauts often do. Meanwhile, they have no idea that their space shuttle is irreparably damaged, and in fact will be dead in a few days during re-entry, which was considered safe until then. It's the crew for Columbia, for those who don't know, whose tiles were damaged during the launch of the shuttle into space by foam. No one knew how bad the damage was until it disintegrated. 6. Father and daughter in Omagh, Northern Ireland. This happy photo of the father and daughter was taken moments before the Omagh car bombing in 1998. The bomb placed by a group known as the Real IRA was in this red car and killed 29 people, including the photographer who took this photo. Both the father and daughter survived. 7. This photo creeps me out. John Lennon signed an autograph for his killer, Mark Chapman, just a few hours before the murder and then asked him, "Is that all?" Chapman even had a gun on him at the time. 8. The Hartley violin. This is the Hartley violin, owned by Wallace Hartley, the bandmaster and lead violinist on the Titanic. It was the one he carried with him and played on the night the ship sank. Survivors reported seeing Hartley and his band on the deck of the ship during the sinking, playing to calm passengers as they boarded the insufficient lifeboats. Hartley and every member of the band died in the sinking. We have his violin because at some unknown point before his death, Hartley tucked the violin back into its monogrammed case for safekeeping. That's how it was found, floating in the debris field, by one of the ships sent to recover bodies from the wreck. They were able to identify it as Hartley's because of an engraved brass plate, and it was returned to his fiancée, who kept it until her death. Her family authenticated it and sold it for $1.6 million to an organization that collects Titanic artifacts. 9. Jeannie standing for a photo. Jeannie was a feral child. She was tied to a chair in a room her whole childhood and punished when she made noise. She was found, rescued, and they tried to teach her to speak, and she actually managed to learn to communicate a bit. By all we know now, she was curious, intelligent, and eager to learn. Her brain had just literally missed the window to learn language. As far as we know, she's been in an assisted living facility somewhere. 10. American physicist Harold Agnew. This is physicist Harold Agnew holding the nuclear core of the Fat Man atomic bomb, which was dropped on Nagasaki in 1945. The bomb ended up killing about 80,000 people, many of whom died from the long-term effects the bomb caused, like radiation illness and leukemia. 11. Franklin Delano, Floyd and Suzanne Marie Savakis. This is the leading image on Franklin Delano Floyd. In actuality, the little girl is Floyd's stepdaughter, Suzanne Marie Savakis, who he'd kidnapped around 1974, when Suzanne was under 10 years old. He would go on to raise her as his daughter, putting her through high school under several pseudonyms, have a son with her in 1988, and marry her in 1989, under the name Tanya Hughes. By 1990, Suzanne had decided to leave Floyd and take her son, Michael, with her. In April of that year, she was found beaten and bruised on the side of a highway, and she subsequently died in the hospital. Michael went into foster care and was adopted, only to be kidnapped by Floyd in 1994 and to never be seen again. 12. If you're British, and of a certain age, you'll probably be as haunted by this grainy image as I am. I still distinctly remember the first time I saw it. At the time, James Bulger was only missing, and it was regarded as a cause for optimism that he was last seen with other children. The truth was far worse than anyone imagined, and still inspires a visceral reaction unlike any other crime in my lifetime. Bulger being abducted by Thompson, in front of Bulger, and Venables, holding Bulger's hand, in an image captured on shopping center CCTV. 13. American volcanologist David A. Johnston. 13 hours after the photograph was taken, on May 18, 1980, the volcano erupted and killed 57 people, including the volcanologist. 14. This photo of Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, who wrote the lyrics and music respectively for The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. In this photo, they had just won Oscars for The Little Mermaid. That night Ashman told Menken they needed to have a serious talk when they got back to New York, and when they got back a couple days later, Ashman told Menken he had AIDS and was going to die. They had been songwriting partners for over a decade and were in the middle of working on Beauty and the Beast, so it looks like a happy photo of two men achieving their wildest dream, but it's really a record of the last normal moment they had together. And while Menken is all smiles, if you look closely at Ashman, you can tell something's wrong. 15. John Edward Robinson and his family. This is serial killer John Edward Robinson, yellow sweater, holding baby Tiffany Stassi, whose mother he murdered the day before. He later gave baby Tiffany to his brother, saying she was adopted. His brother, along with Tiffany, didn't find out the truth for 15 years. Only 8 of his victims have been identified, and he's been on death row since 2000. 16. The final picture of the Webster sisters and their friend. Taking a selfie, they all look so carefree, and then you see the bright light behind them and just want to yell at them to get out of the way of the train. 17. Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571. This picture was taken of a group of survivors of the Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 crash in the Andes. They were eventually saved, but had to resort to cannibalism to survive. They are all smiling in the photo, but it becomes eerie when you see the human spine to the right of them in the picture. 18. Polish Constitution Day celebration in Chicago. This is a picture of First Lady Rosalind Carter in 1978 shaking hands with serial killer John Wayne Gacy, who was active in politics at the time. By that time, he had already killed over 20 young men. He's wearing an S on his lapel, which was given to him by the Secret Service to indicate that he'd been given security clearance. The picture was even signed to John Gacy, best wishes, Rosalind Carter. 19. J.P. Morgan and Leah Graff. This photo of J.P. Morgan and Leah Graff, a performer for the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, caused her to become an overnight sensation, but she couldn't deal with all the attention. So she moved back home to Germany, where she was later arrested and sent to Auschwitz for being Jewish, and she was deemed an unfit human. Not much is known about her, but it's assumed that she and her family did not survive. 20. 2 trails in the snow. Only one is leading back to life. This is the photo Kurt Diemberger took after his companion, the illustrious alpinist Hermann Buell, fell into the abyss on the Himalayan mountain Kagalisa. Buell was walking behind Diemberger and momentarily left the trail, after which he fell through an overhanging cornice. He remains in the ice. 21. A still photo from a video. A man who swam to his girlfriend in their underwater hotel room while on vacation in Tanzania, and proposed to her with a note and a ring. He died before he could resurface from the water. (22) La Mataviejita's, Juana Barraza. Here is Juana Barraza, former luchadora and Mexican serial killer. Her mother sold her to a man for 3 beers when she was 12 until her stepdad found her at 17. Ended up with 4 failed marriages and 4 kids and worked doing odd jobs as a cleaner. She strangled old ladies that reminded her of her mother by pretending to work for the government. 23. Photo of serial killer Christopher Wilder lurking in the background during a 17 magazine fashion show at the Meadows Mall in Las Vegas on April 1, 1984. Wilder would kidnap and kill 17-year-old Michelle Korfman after meeting her at this fashion show, standing in the foreground. 24. Missing Big Island hiker. A kid went missing while hiking a spot on the Big Island of Hawaii. He texted some pictures of the scenery while he was hiking. After he never showed up at home, his family noticed somebody lurking in bushes in the photos he sent. (25) Tyler Hadley's Florida house party. This is a photo of Tyler Hadley, the one holding a cup, at a party at his house. Just before this party, he murdered his mother and father with a hammer and hid their bodies in the master bedroom. During the party, Tyler showed his best friend, Michael Mandel, the room where he killed his parents, and he took this photo because he wasn't sure when he'd see Tyler again. 26. In the old days it used to be common to take pictures with dead relatives. The woman in the middle is already dead. (27) The Menendez brothers appeared in the background of a basketball card with the photo for the card being taken after they had killed their parents. 28. 2 guys going for a coffee at a gas station. That's Salah Abdeslam and his driver on their way back to Belgium. The night before he ordered the 2015 Paris attack that killed 131 people. 29. This photo of Travis Alexander by Jodi Arias. Moments before she killed him. It's haunting to me. (30) The Whitakers at a graduation dinner. The kid on the right, Bart Whitaker, had paid 2 of his buddies to murder his family that night. They would kill the mother and brother, but the father, who took the photo, survived. Bart was later sentenced to death, but after his father strongly opposed it, Texas Governor Greg Abbott granted him clemency, and he is now serving a life sentence.